three words in this topic. One is agile, the other one is transformation, and the third one is the leading. Okay, so three different words is in this topic. So I always start with, why are we doing agile, or what is the need for agile? Number one. Number two, we need to know whether agile is right for us or not. Just because somebody else is getting into the bandwagon doesn't mean that we also have to jump into this agile bandwagon. That's the second thing. The third thing is, are we prepared enough to do agile? Not only that, whether we are fit for it, even though we are fit for it, if we find out that we are fit for agile transformation, are we ready for it? So these are the three things that I always tell people. Okay. So when we talk about agile, there are different methodologies of agile. Okay. So usually what happens is somebody will go to a conference, or somebody will hear it from some other program manager or project manager about these keywords or the buzzwords, and then they all get hyped up and they want to start agile. Okay. So I always tell them, what is the motive behind your agile transformation or your agile journey, or why do you want to do this? Okay. Half the people do not have an answer. Just because XYZ is doing, I also have to do. Okay. So obviously there are certain benefits of going into agile, and some of them are mainly visibility of what you're doing, shorter feedback cycles. You will get to know whether you're on the right path or not, and if you want to do a course correction, it is pretty much easier and cost effective to do it beforehand rather than waiting till the last minute. So there are so many benefits of agile. I'm not going to talk about all the benefits of agile. This is not about selling agile. So depending on whether our organization or our team is fit for agile, we have to do an assessment first. The assessment is what type of work we are doing, what type of company culture we are in, what is the team composition, okay, or whether we are working for the end business group itself, or are we a consulting company working for a client. Okay, then we look at whether we are a product company or a service company. Okay, what is our market segment? What is the speed to market? So there are a lot of things that we have to assess before we even consider ourselves for an agile transformation. Number one. Number two, once we see that we are fit for agile, the second thing is to make sure that what type of agile methodology that we have to follow. Okay, there are different agile methodologies out there. One is the Scrum methodology that has been there for almost a decade or more in constant practice. Okay, Scrum has been there forever, but for aggressive practice, it has been there for the last decade. And then there is yes.
Your slide is not moving. It's in this first slide itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Scrum as a methodology.
I think if you put it in the presenter view, we don't need to see the slide, so you can just press the thing, like in case.
Yeah. I think I'm in the presenter view, right?
No, you're in that slide view.
Go to the slideshow and say presenter view. You will see a view. We will see a view. Whatever the screen you are sharing, you will see a view.
Okay. Can you see it now?
No.
No.
I think you may be sharing the. You may be sharing the. It's okay. Let's use Srini. It's okay. You can just click the slide whichever you are talking. That's fine.
Okay. So talking about different methodologies of agile, right? Scrum has been there. It has been time tested. It is suitable for a smaller team. Many companies have been following this methodology. There have been lessons learned all over the place, and anyone who is in this agile business, when they talk about agile, knowingly or unknowingly, they are talking about Scrum. Okay. And then there is this methodology called Lean, which comes from these Japanese automobile manufacturers. That is all about waste reduction and eliminating variations and removing the overload of tasks. Okay. And then there is this methodology called extreme programming. which came up with a lot of, as the name implies, it came up with a lot of extreme, set of principles, like including user stories for smaller features. Their main ones are pair programming and test-driven development. The pair programming, as it stands for, it's a technique where two programmers work together at a single workstation. It might sound very funny and it might sound weird. How can two people, sit in front of a computer and work together? How does that synergy work out? But again, there has been studies that say that pair programming works really well when one person is doing the research and the other person is doing the actual work, and then they swap. Okay, and in very time sensitive, very aggressive programming, Microsoft has used pair programming as a methodology, okay, which is part of extreme programming. And then the next one is as part of extreme programming, the other one is test-driven development, where software requirements are converted to test cases first, and then based off of those test cases, just to pass or fail those test cases, they write the software. Okay. Then there is another methodology called Kanban. Kanban is, anyone who has been to Starbucks or Quiznos Subs or Subway, they know how things flow. Okay. They know the flow of operations, flow of tasks, flow of events. So Kanban is another methodology. If you want something to continuously release, continuously move in the entire process flow, Kanban is very useful. So Kanban actually is a methodology that also comes from these Japanese automobile manufacturers. Okay, so a lot of places we see Kanban without knowing it is Kanban. If we go to a doctor's office and we see these color-coded bars in front of these waiting rooms, that is a way of Kanban. Okay, Kanban is all about telling you some information, okay, to guide you through color coding. Okay, so the main things in Kanban are to visualize how your work is flowing. Okay, so you have to imagine like an air traffic controller's view of how things work. So an air traffic controller sits in one place and sees this big screen TV where he can see all the flights at one time, approaching the airport and leaving the airport. Okay. Similarly, this Kanban board actually gives you the visualization of where your work is, where multiple tasks are in the grand scheme of things. And then, it actually limits the work in progress so that there is focus on specific tasks. So you are actually working on those tasks without leaving the focus. So when we get into an assessment mode and see, number one, are you fit for Agile? Number two, if you're fit for Agile, what is the methodology that we are going to use? And then, as I mentioned, we will try to see if that is suitable for Scrum or Lean or Kanban or extreme programming. So in my experience, the way that we do is, if it's a very small team and the team is focused on getting something out pretty quickly, Scrum is suitable. Now, the team is a very experienced team. Everybody knows what they are doing. Okay, they don't need any sort of hand holding, and they are highly skilled in a particular area, and they only have limited time in their hand, and the product or the service that they are trying to accomplish out of this project is brand new. Nobody has done it. Then extreme programming is a fit for them. Okay, Kanban is fit only if you are doing some sort of transformations or transitions or migrations or ticketing systems or things like that, where you want to see the flow of tickets or flow of your work, then Kanban is suitable. So depending on the type of work that you're doing, okay, we select which Agile methodology, or we suggest which Agile methodology to choose from. That's the second one. The first one is to see the fitness. The second one is to choose the right approach. Okay.
Srini, one question though. Yes, I understand the Kanban and the extreme programming thing, but is it mostly the Kanban is used by the operational folks in anything like operation, predefined things, isn't it?
Yes. So ticketing systems, Anything that is based off of operations, or they call it as O&M support, operations and maintenance support, anything to do with after development support structure, Kanban is very useful. Okay. If you're on a tight deadline and the technology is new, the team is very experienced, extreme programming is helpful. Okay. The team needs some sort of cohesion, a lot of visibility is required, a lot of collaboration is required, then Scrum is useful. Okay. If you're doing a lot of process re-engineering, you see a lot of waste, you see a lot of time being wasted, you see some processes are taking more than ever, or you see a lot of discrepancies in process, then lean comes in. Okay. In lean, you do a visual mapping. Okay. They call it as value stream mapping. They try to see in a stream of things, what is the value being delivered in each step as well as throughout the step. And then they see the idle time, the actual working time, and all these they calculate. And then they say, okay, these are the bottlenecks. These bottlenecks have to be removed. And then they focus on the weakest link. So the theory of constraints is another methodology that they always quote in lean. It says that a chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So if you focus on the weakest link and fix it, then the chain becomes stronger. Then you have to go and focus on the next weakest link. Okay, so that is the underlying principle of theory of constraints, which is used in lean as well. Okay, so based off of these, we have to select an agile methodology. So as I mentioned, first one, we go and do an assessment to see whether it is fit or not. Once we see that the organization or the team is fit for it, then we select the appropriate methodology. Okay, so in our topic, leading agile transformations, I talked a bit about agile. Now we have to talk about transformations, right? So we have decided, okay, I have to get onto this bandwagon of going agile. Now, how do we do it? Okay, it doesn't happen overnight, number one. Number two, it is not a magic bullet for fixing all your inherent problems. Okay, so the first step to do is bring everyone to some sort of reality check, to some sort of setting up the realistic expectations, telling all the stakeholders, right from leadership through the end, analyst, developer, tester, telling that what to expect out of this transformation. Okay, setting that expectation is a key thing. One, we have to say why we are going for this agile transformation. Okay. Number two, we are going to say
Srini,
how. Yes.
I think you explained the next slide, right?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So why we are doing this? Okay. What is the benefit or the goal that we are trying to get out of this? What is the outcome? Okay. So this transformation is going to be very outcome based. Okay. Then we say who are all the major players. Okay. Then we are going to say how this transformation will work. Because unless you provide a big picture of how things will work, you're not going to get the buy-in. Okay. You can be an agile evangelist and you can sell as much agile as you want, but nobody is going to buy this thing in. So you have to first set the expectations straight. You have to talk through these things, and it is not very easy. In my experience, what I have seen is, you can go in and say that, okay, tomorrow morning we are going to start agile. Okay, and people are like, okay, so what? Okay, that is one set of people. The other set of people are, okay, what is in it for me? Okay, then there is this third set of people that are like, I want the results tomorrow morning, which is the leadership. Okay, so we have to manage these three set of peoples. One is the toxic set of people who doesn't want to change. The second one is the people that wants to know how to do this. And the third set of people are the people that want results immediately. So this transformation, we have to manage these three set of people. Okay, all the transformations actually start with a roadmap. Okay, even though this is all agile and everything, you have to have a traditional I wouldn't use the word waterfall, but still you have to have a roadmap to show the starting point and the ending point. The starting point is where we are today. The ending point is whichever methodology that we have chosen. Scrum, Kanban, Lean, Extreme Programming, or even Scaled Agile for that matter. I will come to Scaled Agile in a little bit. Okay, so we need to know the starting point and the ending point. Okay. So that's a roadmap. So the roadmap, usually if it is visual, people can easily understand from where we are going to where we are. Okay, so in that roadmap, we will, the first step is to train people. Okay, again, we have to give a vanilla training to everyone. Then we have to give targeted training to people who are going to be the leaders in that transformation process. Okay, now there are specific roles in this transformation. The first thing is you have to train people. So you need a trainer. Once these people are trained, you have to handhold them and kickstart the process. That is not training, that is actually coaching. So you need a coach. So that's why there are roles like agile trainers, agile coaches, scrum masters, senior scrum masters, product owners, senior product owners, all these roles. So first you give a vanilla training about the methodology that you have chosen. The second one is you're going to give targeted training for the people that are key in this transformation. That is the very first step. Then the second step in this is, basically you're going to align a good team. So when you start a transformation process, okay, you should not be starting with a crappy team, because it is, in my experience, it is actually good to have a willing, positive, and energetic team as a prototype to begin with. So if you choose the right team and you can show progress, it does a couple of things as magic. One, you will get continuous leadership support because you are showing progress. The second thing is more and more people gets interested, and then you can do some road shows and you can invite people to come and see how you are doing things. So always you have to align a good team with the good people so that you enjoy those benefits. Okay, so that's the second step. The third step is, you have to always have this leadership buy-in right from day one throughout this entire transformation process. You have to have leadership support. Many times what happens is some senior leader has the big bag of money, in his strategic vision for that particular year or for a couple of years, he wants things to be done in agile. Okay, so there is money, there is this pressure, the sense of urgency, all of that is there. And then after a few months, there is no leadership support. You're on your own. Okay, that doesn't work with an agile transformation. Okay, then the next step is, once you have started the transformation, you're going to measure your transformation. Okay, how far we have transformed. Okay, so you have to have some sort of a benchmark. Okay, you can have an industry benchmark, you can have an agile benchmark, or you can have, there are readily available agile maturity assessment toolkits that you can subscribe these days, or you can buy it. They will give you a set of questionnaire. Okay, there will be a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, questionnaires that you can submit your team to see your progress. Okay, that is a good way to assess how your team is progressing in this journey. Okay, so metrics become a key thing. Okay, and out of all of these things, once you are doing your agile transformation, right, there is always three components to this. One component is people, the second component is process, and the third component is technology. Okay, now you can do as much agile as you want, but if you are not having the right tools in place, okay, it can be an agile tool, Jira, Rally, version 1, any tool for that matter. Okay, if you haven't set up the tool properly, you're not going to reap the benefits. You can only reap certain benefits of agile, but you cannot reap the full benefits of going agile. So process.
Is it Srini, is it the next slide you are talking about, or is it still in the slide?
No. This is the same slide. This is
okay.
I'm talking through this.
Okay.
Right. So technology is a key thing. Okay. So many people still think about the days when Agile started, right? Using sticky notes on the wall or on a whiteboard, and then doing these things. So nowadays, things have changed. It's not co-located. People are remote. So you have to depend on technologies. You have to depend on right technologies. You have to use as much technologies as possible to reap the benefits of Agile. Okay. So with that comes challenges too. You have to train people in the tools. Okay. So as I mentioned, you have to train people. You have to review and set right the processes, and you have to make use of the technology. These are the cooking sauce for your transformation. Okay. So that is one aspect. The other aspect of transformation is change management. Okay. It is like any other change management process, any other process implementation. There will be changes, and the way that you are managing this change is going to bring benefits for the transformation. So many times, the change management is the piece that would be missing. So in change management, there are a couple of things that comes in. Main thing is communication. Okay, how are you communicating your transformation progress? I briefly touched about it by saying metrics. Metrics is one thing. That is your assessment of your team, of its progress. Change management, communications is about telling or announcing the whole world how you are progressing. Okay. There are both pros and cons to it. The positive side of that is by communicating it, you will get support. Okay. The second aspect of communication is if there are any roadblocks or if there are any shortcomings, okay, you will get the support that you need. Okay. So people will know that you are on this journey. Okay. It is another way of selling things. Okay. So more the eyes are on your transformation, more you are obligated to communicate it. Okay. So in certain agile transformation, that this is going to be the communication plan, okay, on what sequence or on what order we are going to tell. Okay. So that is communication management is part of change management. Then the next thing is, when you are releasing things, okay, when you have set up an agile team, the agile team is working, okay, and then when you're releasing your products or services to the public or to the marketplace, that needs to be managed. Okay. Because this is a new ways of working. When new ways of working comes in, there will be process changes. People have to adapt to this. So all of this comes under the change management. So an agile transformation without a proper change management, in my experience, I have seen it as a failure. Okay. Many times we would be doing agile transformation on our own without getting these buy-ins because we did not have a proper change management in place. Okay. Then setting up communities of practice. Okay. Communities of practice is another way to propagate your agile transformation. Okay. That is kind of like your PMO office. Okay. All the tools, all the templates, all the experiences, the trainings, and everything can happen through this communities of practice. Okay. So you are setting up a community for organizational learning, cross learning, all of that. Okay. So there is a difference between your center of excellence and communities of practice. Okay. So as part of agile transformation in my company, I have set up a center of excellence. A center of excellence is a place where we keep it is a central repository for all things historical that we have done. Okay. It's kind of like your PMO office, and it has all the skills, it has the budget, and it also has regular trainings and your tools and templates and all of that. That is your center of excellence. So in my company, I set up a center of excellence when I started this back in 2010. Okay. So this center of excellence, again, it's another team It's not a part-time team. It's a full-time team. There you have to keep a set of people always on a consultancy basis, on advisory basis. Then the second aspect is, as I mentioned, the communities of practice. The communities of practice is within Agile, you can have a community of practice for scaled Agile, for design thinking, for ChatGPT, for any new technology that is coming out. You can have different communities of practice. Their whole point is to propagate information and learning. Okay. So this Agile transformation, as I mentioned, it moves from the starting point of I want to get into Agile, and the end point of the Agile transformation is a well-oiled, fully functioning Agile team. That is the end goal. So let's say that in 6 months, okay, you can create roadmaps for 6 months or a year, depending on how many number of people and how many number of teams that you're going to transform. So in my experience, what I have done is we select one team. If we are going into because I work for a consulting company, and we actually go into a client and we select a prototype first, okay, a prototype team, and we select them. That is going to be our pilot team. We train them, we coach them, we handhold them, we move them through the process. We do periodic assessments. We call them as maturity assessments, how quickly or how slowly they are maturing. We provide them feedback, and those lessons learned are actually captured. And then we use that as a template for training the next set of teams. Okay, so it's kind of like a constantly learning thing. Along the way.
So, Srini, when you say we, you means you also have a team, isn't it, to do this? You cannot be like a one person can do this, isn't it? So you need that center of excellence or whatever the team you may need to have, because if you're planning for a transformation, a Agile transformation in a company, if I need to budget something, I may need to budget for this group who can come and do the initial practicing and coaching, then create a community of Agile practitioners for me.
True, exactly. So that brings up a very good point, Shankar. When we go in as a 3-member team. Okay, that is for the initial assessment. Okay, the initial assessment is done usually with a 3-member team. Okay, one senior person and then two junior people. Okay, that's how we go. Okay, we observe, we shadow, we see their processes, we see the fitness. Okay, then we say, okay, this is a suitable Agile methodology for you. Then we say, okay, let's go and where, which team requires most attention. We go there. We select that prototype or a rapid team. We form that team. Then we bring in a change manager. We bring in a risk manager. We bring in a traditional project manager to manage this entire roadmap. Okay, so we form a team. That's what I mean by we. Okay, and once we set up a center of excellence, the center of excellence is where all these Scrum Masters are hired, all the product owners are hired, coaches are hired. So as the organization gets bigger or the implementation becomes bigger, the center of excellence also will be bigger. Okay. Most often these communities of practice are voluntary, but the centers of excellence are fully funded and paid by the transforming organization. That is how it works. Okay. The other aspect in the Agile transformation is experience. Okay. Many times what happens is, the Scrum Master or the Agile coach, they do not have a varied level of experience in technology companies. Okay, they come in with very minimal functional knowledge or technical knowledge. Okay, especially technical knowledge. They come in with very minimal technical knowledge, and most often, this is what I have seen, they are not able to translate certain things for an IT company. Okay, so the majority of the Agile transformations happens in IT companies. Okay, because that is where the pressure of going to the market, the pressure of releasing something new, the pressure of newer technologies, all of that is there. So in my experience, I have seen more agile transformations in IT companies. When an IT company is transforming, you need a coach, you need a scrum master who is at least technical enough to understand what is happening there. Okay, so what do? We, as a consulting company, we select technology people to be scrum masters. We don't bring a business analyst to become a scrum master. That, in my experience, I have seen has yielded more results. You can repurpose a developer or a tester into a good scrum master. Okay, and also, you don't have to take it bad, but a good functional business analyst can become a scrum master too. But if it is more technology oriented, technical people becoming scrum masters are actually good for agile transformations. That is my experience. Okay, so I said we start with one prototype team, and depending on the success and the lessons learned, we apply that to other teams, and then we see how the transformation goes. We do regular periodic maturity assessments, and once the team has matured, we will say, okay, so there is a big wheel of this maturity assessment, color coded, that is available, readily available in the web. You can see in which quadrant they stand. Okay, depending on whether we have to scale them up further or that level of maturity is sufficient, we just let them function as a well-oiled machine, and then the transformation specialists, the coaches and the trainers, they actually move back. Okay, then we will go on to some other gig.
Okay, Srini, I put some questions on the chat. You don't need to answer it right now. We can discuss it at the end of the things.
Because yeah, we'll take it at the end of the thing. So any questions, put it in the Q&A section, Shankar.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So we talked about agile, we talked about transformations. Now we are going to talk about leading, the leadership aspects of transformations. Okay, that is where I'm going to talk about my experience. So I started my agile journey back in 2010. Okay, when this agile was becoming a buzzword, I went to my manager and I said, I want to do an agile training, and he was like, this is another fad. I'm not going to fund for you. You're on your own if you want to study. So I went on and I paid for a Scrum Alliance's Scrum Certified Scrum Master certification out of my own pocket. Became a certified Scrum Master, but the thing was I didn't have enough opportunity to practice this. And then to my better luck, we got into a project where they required a certified Scrum Master. And then I raised my hand, I got in, and then here it is. I am the only person who knows at least a little bit of agile. Everybody else is blank. So I had to start from scratch. So my journey started with formal training, no experience. Then I slowly built, on top of learnings, on top of interactions with people, on top of attending seminars, on top of attending conferences, all of that. And then going in and interacting and doing a lot of agile hands-on, I became an agile coach. Okay, coaching by itself is very difficult because you are actually talking about not just one team or one entity. You're going into multiple teams. You're going into multiple business units, multiple industries, multiple market segments. Then you're trying to coach these people. So coaching by itself, you need to know, what and who you're trying to coach. Okay, my coaching varies from retail industries through banks through federal clients. Okay, federal clients involves United States Army, United States Air Force, Postal Service, all of these entities. Their business models are different. The people working there and their cultures are different. The way they adopt agile is different. The funding mechanisms are different. The speed with which we can transform is different. So you have to play that leadership or the coach game really well so that there is a buy-in. Okay. Mostly what I have seen as an agile transformation specialist or a coach is manage four things. This is the very key thing. If I want to summarize all my experience, I have coined an acronym called RAID, R-A-I-D. So RAID stands for R for risk, A for assumptions, I for issues, and D for dependencies. Okay, you have to manage these 4 things: risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. Because when you are doing transformation, your people are going to look up to your leadership. Okay, tell me what to do. Okay, tell me.
What is the last one you mentioned? Risk,
Dependencies.
assumption, dependence. Okay.
Yeah. Risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. Okay. So when you go in, okay, people are going to look up to you on how you're resolving these things, how you're managing the risks, what are the assumptions that you're taking. Okay, because you cannot go in and then be a head nodder for everything. Okay, you should have the tenacity to say no at places where you have to say no. You have to deal with the toxic people. You have to deal with a lot of dependencies. Dependency management is a key in transformations. Okay, because you might be transforming just one small team of 7 people, but those 7 people that team might be working with another 100 people, which we may not know. Okay, so in my experience, I have worked on many software teams where they were dependent on cloud teams. They were dependent on infrastructure teams. They were dependent on business units. They were dependent on marketing people. So they were dependent on so many other things that you cannot simply go in and say, okay, just do this, or this is how Agile works. No, that's not how it works. You have to manage risks. You have to manage assumptions. You have to manage the issues that are forthcoming. Okay, and then you have to manage the dependencies. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to lead by example. The example that people are going to look at to you is not how or what type of person you are. The personality is secondary. What they're going to look up to you is your experience. What is that you're bringing to the table from other clients? Okay, so mainly they look for the failures, the lessons that you learned from failures. So I have implemented at least 18, 19 transformations in my last 13 years. Okay. So out of that, I wouldn't say everything is a success. Out of that, 50% was failures. Okay. And I can attribute the failures. I have, after every failed transformation, I kind of contemplate, you know, I kind of, look back and see what went wrong. Okay. And then I have come up with my own lessons learned. And I usually publish that as part of my journey, my lessons learned to the whole community of my practice within my company. Okay. And half of that can be attributed to toxic people, a lack of leadership support, okay, and lack of training, lack of not when I say training, it's not just the agile process training. It can be technology training too. Okay, so a barber is no good without scissors, right? It's the same thing. If you ask somebody to do something and if you're not giving them the right tools, they're not going to succeed. So you have to have regular trainings in place. So all of that, your experience that you're bringing from other places, okay, what fits into this particular client, you have to emphasize that. You have to tell them with a strong fist on the table, if you see something wrong, you should have the guts to say, this is not going to work. At any point of time, if you think that your transformation is not going the way that you want, you have to stop it and then revisit. Okay, have a meeting with the stakeholders and just explain them why it is not going the way it is. Okay, then you have to find a way to readjust the course or the direction. Okay, so many times I have felt that I was responsible for some of the failures because I didn't have the guts to say no, or the guts to call a spade at the right time. Okay, and then in some places, I did not have enough support from my own scrum masters. Okay, different people were following different methodologies. They were not bringing the right information to me. Our dependency management was a mess. A lot of these things. So if I could list out the reasons for agile transformation failures, some of them the people that are responsible for transformation or the people that are supporting the transformation. That is the key for the failures. Okay. Now, I would like to talk about this 6 types of toxic people. You will always come across as toxic people. That was, about 40% of my time coaching and transforming and all that took to manage these toxic colleagues. Okay, there are bullies, they're very aggressive, and they make fun of your work. Okay, you have to manage them. Then there are gossip mongers. Okay, they try to create drama. They talk behind your back. And then there are these people that are underminers who just sabotage your projects and then they minimize your contributions. There are dramatic people. They try to make a big deal out of minor mistakes and they create confusion. And then there are these slackers who skip out of responsibilities, who are very slow. They actually pull you, back. And then there are these micromanagers. The micromanagers, this is a very toxic group of people. Okay, these people don't trust anything. They pathologically, they follow up. They find fault in everything. They make your life hell. Okay, so dealing with these 6 types of toxic people, once you know the knack of dealing with these people, negotiating with these people, and getting the work out of these people, half of your problems of transformation will be done when you deal with these people. Okay. Then the other thing that I always talk about is the types of intelligence. Okay? We all know about IQ. Okay, that's intelligence quotient. Okay, there are 2 other things that people don't care. But what I have seen is people like us, who are from India, who have come from other countries into United States. We have a different way to assimilate things, different way to adapt ourselves. Our emotional quotient is very high. Our social quotient is also very high. So emotional quotient is a measure of your ability to maintain peace with others, keep to time, responsibility, honesty, and all that is emotional quotient. Social quotient is the measure of your ability to build a network of friends, okay, which I have seen many people, many of us are really good at. Okay, the 4th one that that is going through a lot of studies recently, rough patch in life. Okay, that is something that many of our kids are lacking. Okay, they cannot take failure. They cannot. So when these younger generation come into the workforce, their adversity quotient is very less. Okay, if you tell them, if you scold them, or if you kind of reprimand them for something, they just drop it and then they leave. Then we have to go and clear the mess. The adversity quotient actually, when faced with troubles, your quotient determines who will give up, who will abandon their family, and who will consider suicide and all these untoward things. Okay, so these quotients, you need to know how people are going through these quotients and what their quotients are, like intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, social quotient, and advisory quotient, and all that. And once you know the quotients of the people that you're working with, you will adopt a methodology in such a way that how to deal with these people. Okay, so mainly the agile transformation is 3 pieces: selecting the right agile. The second one is having a strong, a time-tested roadmap with the right set of people. The third one is leadership, and out of that, managing the RAID: risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. So this is at a very high level. Okay,
so this is excellent, Srini. Actually, we missed the 5th slide. I didn't see the slide, even though you talked about it. But this is really good because.
Okay, so the 5th slide. Okay, so this slide is all about scaled agile. Okay, so let's say that you have transformed a team or a set of teams into some sort of agile maturity. Okay, so in practicality, what I have done is I have trained some teams in Scrum. Okay, they all have matured, and then I have trained a couple of teams in operations and maintenance. Okay, they are managing the tickets after the application has been released. They are in Kanban. Okay, so I have done a bunch of these trainings, and they are all standing up, running well. It is going up as a well-oiled machine. All are fine. Okay, they are in the 90th quadrant of maturity. Okay, now we are talking about not 3 or 4 teams anymore. We are talking about like 50 teams or 100 teams, okay, across the entire enterprise. Okay. Now, after seeing the success of one business unit, many times my consulting company has been asked to come in and extrapolate it to the bigger enterprise. Okay, so how would you scale it up? Okay, you cannot keep on doing this at smaller teams. If you keep on doing it for smaller teams, yes, it will yield results, but again, it is going to take a longer period of time. You have to scale it up. Okay, so it is very synonymous to your traditional project management of having project management, program management, portfolio management, and all that. The same setup is followed, but for Agile. That is how the scaled Agile framework came into existence. So they have different levels. They have a level for project and program management. They call it as the essential level. And then there is a large solution level. And then there is a portfolio level. So these are for bigger organizations with 400 plus people that are going to follow Agile. Still, you have to go through Agile trainings and coachings and transformations and all that. But this is about one-stop shop for an enterprise level, enterprise-wide Agile transformation. And that's where Scaled Agile has its market now.
This is awesome, Srini. I can correlate how I can apply not only Agile, I can apply how to bring security culture to the company the same way. Like it's exactly the same way. Practice hub, coaching hub, the community, and how you can scale. This is really helpful. I actually, like most of the time, whenever we take anything like a process, people are process. You always talk about process, documentation, blah blah, blah all these stuff. My productivity getting decreased. So to get the buy-in from the leaders, it is difficult because leaders simply says, okay, you go ahead and train people. But the people we are training are the low-level people, they don't like it. Even though when it is coming from the top, they have to take it, but they don't see the interest. That is where I see the toxic colleagues popping up.
True.
So somewhere you need to start with some kind of a success story about this transformation, isn't it? So we need to show them with hey, this is a success story which we did, and because also I need to show them that this is related to their industry. Because for example, if I'm showing them from an IT and auto industry or auto industry and IT, they say, hey, this won't work for us. So we may need to have some kind of a success story, case studies, or the more the data are, like more, I don't want to present them with some kind of a boring stuff. I need some kind of examples in it. So that will help us in it.
Right. So you are spot on when you mentioned about success stories, right? So what we do is we do 3 things. Okay. One, depending on, let's say that my last gig was for Air Force. Okay, US Air Force. Okay, US Air Force is a 600,000 people entity. Okay, with different types of workforce within it. There are reserves, there are airmen, there are people that are working for Space Force. There are different types of people in it. Okay, now I have to convince the entire Air Force community how Agile will work for them. Okay, we did a fitness and a readiness assessment, and they were ready for it. Okay, now I have to convince them that my transformation is going to work. Not Agile is going to work, but my transformation for them is going to work. Okay, now I have to bring a similar entity, a similar defense entity, or a similar federal government entity, okay, as a case study. Okay, so when you set case studies, we do it 2 ways. One is we show a success story. We also show a failure story to scare the heck out of them. We tell them these are the things that we do not want you to follow because we failed in this case study. Okay, and success, by showing success, in my experience, what I have seen is people always think, okay, they have a time-tested success model that they are going to apply it here. So, okay, my responsibility is just go in the flow. No. So the success template is there, but still I'm going to show you the failure and the reasons for the failure, the rationale for the failure, so that we don't follow that. Okay. So that's the second thing. The third thing that we do is regularly we take people for road shows. Okay. My company has design studios, has cloud hubs. Okay. And they have these conferences and seminars that they run for the clientele. Okay. So the cloud hub is, it is vendor agnostic. Whatever cloud tools that come out in the marketplace, for example, Amazon or Azure or whatever, they regularly have these tool demos. Okay, they have the road shows. The road shows are taking people to a different setting and showing them how the other set of people are following Agile. Okay, that might trigger some ideas, that might have some eureka moments for people, that might show them, okay, this is the systematic, disciplined way of doing Agile. So it kind of like instills some sort of motivation, some sort of discipline in them. So we do these three things. Okay, we show them case studies, positive and negative. We take them to roadshows. Okay, we also show them what tools and templates can be used.
One more question, Srini. So when we were doing this transformation in an organization or a biggest capacity or even a small medium business, different teammates choose different methodology, because everybody cannot follow Scrum, because operation team follow Kanban, programmers can follow Extreme, isn't it? So we have to adapt that in our transformation. So it's not going to be same methodology, isn't it?
Correct. It's not going to be same methodology. It's not going to be same methodology. But again, we can space it in such a way that it can be a synchronous, serial way of training people. Okay, or it can be a parallel, simultaneous way of training people. Okay, in some organizations, what they say is, okay, we are only going to focus on development now. We're not going to focus on application outsourcing or operations and maintenance or ticketing, or we're not going to focus on that. So we're only going to focus the first piece of all developers and testers. Okay, purely software development. So depending on that, sometimes it is a budgetary constraint. Sometimes the urgency is only on deliveries. They don't care about after support, right? But I have worked on some clients where they wanted on day one itself, they wanted Agile implementation, that to different methodologies with different sets of people. So when we go in, then we will go with Kanban certified trainers. We will we will go with the scaled Agile people. We will go with the Scrum certified people. Okay. Now PMI has come up with something called disciplined Agile. Okay, which is really good. But the thing is, since PMI is very late to the market, scaled Agile has already taken over this market. So now more people are following scaled Agile and not disciplined Agile.
What is the next set of things going to come in this thing?
The next, already what has come in is Agile by itself. This is just a methodology. This is a process methodology. By itself can only reap certain benefits. Okay, if it wants to succeed, okay, it definitely has to align with some other things. Okay, it has already aligned with design thinking to the front and DevOps to the end. Okay, so now nobody is just going for Agile training. Everybody is going for a set of training called first Agile, then they take design thinking training, then they take a DevOps training. Okay, Agile cannot reap the benefits if you are not continuously integrating and continuously deploying something. Okay, then the next set is cybersecurity. Okay, so people are actually, in my company, we are actually giving 4 trainings in a row. Okay, and we are, and again, we only give training to the people who are going to implement it or who are going to work in it. Otherwise, what happens is you learn something. If you're not going to practice it, you're going to forget about it. Okay, so Agile methodology training, Scrum or Kanban or whatever the training is. Then we give design thinking. Then we give DevOps training. DevOps is usually tool-based training. Okay. Then we give cybersecurity training. Now we are asking people to take trainings on how cloud works. Okay. Like cloud rationalization. Okay. Cloud navigation. Okay. Modernization, optimization. Okay. So how are you deciding on the application that needs to go to the cloud? Okay. Then how do you move things from on-prem to cloud? Okay. How do you optimize things in the cloud? Data lake, this and that. So we are trying to give people an overview of how things work, not detailed as to talk about ETLs and and S3 and stuff, but to the point where they understand, moving things from on-prem to cloud and what are all involved in cloud. Okay, because if they do not have that basic knowledge, then they cannot do in Agile. Okay, sometimes these pure Agilists or Agile evangelists, they want everything to be done in 2 weeks. That's not going to happen. Okay, they need to know the underlying technology, because I was in a payroll project. You cannot release payroll in multiple pieces. You have to pay a guy in full. So yes, Agile might be useful for certain things to be released, periodically, but key things like payroll and all that, it has to be a big bang release. But you can still release it in pieces for some sort of a pseudo prod before you deploy it.
Yeah. Thank you, Srini. It's a great presentation. So some other questions that Shankar has got is, why this was not a practice in non-IT, even though we know some of these agile methodologies started in auto industry in Japan?
So it started, but
So,
there was
Srini, why I asked this, as always has the company project management, can we make use of this and try to push this methodology to other industries? We can do a
Definitely
pro
we
bono
can.
for some small companies.
Definitely we can. Definitely we can. The way that these guys have taken this Agile was to write user stories, for IT companies, for software development. Okay. So the initial set of people, they were only visualizing features, functionalities, utilities for a software product or a service. Okay. So what they did was they translated all these requirements documents into user stories. Okay. And that fever caught on with people. Okay. Then they said, okay, this is good for the IT industry. But I have implemented it for infrastructures. Okay. I have implemented this for some process business units within federal. The nuance there is to train people to how to make user stories or how to make features or functionalities that are achievable within the time frame of your Scrum. Okay, many times, in other industries, you cannot get something. Okay, so you have to ask them to visualize the features or functionalities or utilities that they can develop in 3 weeks. Then that 3 week is a cycle for you.
Okay, good. So to add on, so Shankar and Srini, so we are working with some of the manufacturing companies, so they are showing interest in Agile. So like TVS Motors, so they are trying to move to Agile, and so Denso, so they are also trying to move to Agile. So those manufacturing companies I am seeing in India, so they are showing interest in transforming to Agile. So not fully into Agile, but they want to do it in a hybrid way. So, but in most of the cases, so they're using lean and critical chain project management. So they want to make use of the Agile now. So they are looking into the options. Yeah. So that is initiate is in the initiation stage. So once you go ahead and start doing it, so I can share some of the other informations.
Sure.
Yeah, I think some of the manufacturing they can use Kanban because some of them are predefined set of procedures they'll do and operations. They can have the color coded. I see a lot of companies still they have a color coded. They don't know internally they may be using something like Kanban because I have seen in Singapore Airlines SATs basically the cargo thing they have all the things are color coded. They don't know that it is like red means in stopped or blocked. Green means it's always done. Orange means it's going on. There are some of set of these things. So there is a big potential for a lot of non-IT companies to be agile. Until otherwise it is scalable to those companies.
True. So I have an experience with a defense manufacturer. We implemented agile in their shop. Okay, they were practicing Six Sigma. Okay, they were practicing Kanban. Okay, but what they were not practicing was defect resolution. Okay, the entire visibility and collaboration with the entire chain of folks. Those things they were not following. Okay, they were following the basic principles. Okay, they were measuring. They were doing quality control. They were doing quality assurance. They were doing all of that. They were putting the numbers of failed parts. They were putting everything. They were color coding. They were managing inventory. Those parts of the Lean and Six Sigma was going fine. What they were not doing was the collaboration piece with the stakeholders, the visibility piece of it. Okay, the flow piece of it. Okay, where the bottleneck is. So they were still working with pen and paper or whiteboard and Sharpies. Okay, the problem with that is you only have specific wall space. Okay, you only have certain number of people walking the floor. Not everybody is walking the floor. So if you want to make it visible to the wider community who can offer you feedback and who can derive fruitful outcomes from this, then you have to move on to something that technology can provide. Okay, so for this client,
regarding this question, I forget what to ask. Can you tell? So when you are doing this kind of thing, so whenever we are going for an agile transformation to a company, you said we will start with the first one is whether it's a fit. Why do we need agile, and whether it will fit? So will you do a gap assessment first to see what they have right now? Because it will be good to pitch to the company saying that, hey, you guys don't worry, we are not going to start from scratch. You guys are doing already A, B, C, D. We are going to insert this C and D. So we need to do a gap assessment, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. That is what we do because we don't have to start from scratch. Many companies, knowingly or unknowingly, they have been following some agile practice. Okay, or some lean practice, or some Six Sigma practice, or they might be doing something, or as part of some software implementation, they might be using a module for this, but without knowing what to do. Okay, so we do an assessment.
I think it will be helpful for all we to, whenever you are pitching for a company, it will be good to do some research what they are doing. That way, it should be a targeted pitch should involve, hey, you guys are doing already this. So because people always say you need to start from beginning. People say, oh no, I don't want. You guys have all these things. You need to do this one. That was the way we'll get the thing. Okay.
True.
And moreover, I normally take this thing for my risk management practice because whenever you pitch for risk assessment and management, people, no risk management. I don't want all. I say everybody do risk management in their head. To give an example, when you are going fast in a lane and you suddenly see the light change from green to yellow, you make a risk assessment there. Can I go or can I not go? That is the risk assessment everybody does. So people don't know as a risk assessment. People think it's just a green. Everybody has that mentality. So what we need to do is we need to bring that into a process. How we can do that in our current work? Can I do risk assessment? That's how I pitch normally. So that's why I asked this question. That's good. But Srini, this is really good. I learned a lot of new stuff, specifically about that. The first diagram you show, the change, how the change to the practice that I'm going to use, and also the toxic colleagues, and the this is really good. If you can, are you able to share this deck with us, or?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be sharing.
Okay, that will be good.
Okay, so Srini, I have some more questions. So
yes,
one thing is, so you implemented to various different organizations. I was part of one of the organizations, so at the implemented scaled. So how do you see the improvement, or how they are continuously following it? Because what I see is, so after that, after implementing to the large organization or to the portfolio level, so they're only sticking to the program or the team level. So like the value stream mapping, value stream development. So the lean portfolio, the OKRs. So they are not following. So they are going back to the traditional thing. So how best that can be maintained, or what are the different ways that we can motivate them to follow this?
So bottom line is, it all boils down to money. Okay. So in my experience, what I have seen is, I have worked with a lot of government folks, US government folks. Okay. The contract with us is agile. Okay. Their regular job, the let's say, for example, the Air Force, the company by itself is a traditional project management company, because the company has been there from World War I and II. Okay, they're still following those same project management protocols. Okay, their day job is managing it in a traditional project management way, but just this project, they wanted to do it in agile. Okay, however way I train them, however way I motivate them, at the end of this project, once this project is implemented, they will go back to their old way of life. Okay, that is a big cultural thing with an organization. Okay, many times what happens, 99% of the times what I'm seeing is, companies are not agile, but the projects that they are doing are agile, or they want to do it with a consulting company. Okay, and once that is done, okay, fine, good, they will move on. Not even the companies that have implemented software, or produced the software using agile and seen the benefits of agile, some of them are not even going to Kanban for their operations and support. That is very disheartening. Okay, that is because they are using tools to manage their tickets. Okay, they don't want to manage it in Kanban. They're okay, I have a tooling system. So it is like they are shaping the feet for the size of the shoe, rather than buying a shoe for the size of the feet. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, many times what they say is, okay, I just need an agile coach for the first 6 months to a year of a 3-year project. That's it. Coach, come in, train people, coach them, handhold them, take them to a place where you think that they can run on their own. Okay, so let them, like a baby, let them flip over, let them crawl, let them try to do a toddler walk. And if you think that is enough for them to walk on their own and then do a marathon on their own, then you can move on. We don't have budget. Okay, budgetary constraint is another thing. The third thing that we see is, many people that they want to follow, okay, but the company doesn't allow them to follow.
Yes.
Okay, so what we have suggested is, we have told people that we have given them 4 advices. When we retract, we give them 4 advices. Number 1 is
Srini, thank you very much. I got to go, but it is really useful. Will we share the recording?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
thanks, Shankar.
Thank you.
Okay. So what we do is, we give them 4 advices. We tell them, you guys spent so much money to move a herd of people from this methodology to this methodology. We have transformed them. We have spent this much of money. Okay, so why waste that technology or the process? Okay, keep that process. That is advice number 1. Okay. Advice number 2 is we tell them that this is not micromanagement. This is not just about the process. This is also about, this is the foundation. You're going to build whatever on top of it. Make sure that you have enough foundation. Okay. So if you're giving agile training and you think that you have to add DevOps training, or you think that you want to add cybersecurity training, add to it. Do not just leave agile and then give the other trainings. So package the trainings together. That is advice number 2. Okay. The third advice that we give them is keep these communities of practice or the center of excellence, or at least one agile coach in the entire organization for you to get some sort of advice. Okay. The fourth thing that we tell them is, you like it or not, do some sort of assessment on whether you have improved by your practices, whether you follow the practice, agile practice, or you don't follow the agile practice. Do an assessment and see on certain factors, not necessarily agile assessments. Do an assessment of your productivity. Do an assessment of your revenue. Do an assessment of your work-life balance. Do an assessment of your processes. Okay. Do an assessment of your entire, rate of risks, rate of issues, rate of resolutions, all of that. And you see what has helped. If you think moving away from agile has helped, then good, follow that. So, so we give them these sort of advices to them, but they will come back to you. Because nobody wants to spend that money.
So in continuation of that budget constraint, so now if you see so many organizations, so instead of taking agile coaches as a consultant or advisory team, so with the budget constraints, so they are going and taking as an employee as an agile coach. So in that particular case, what is happening is, so what the company says the agile coach has to follow, so and what the agile coach could not advise certain things, that this is the best practice, so this is the way that you have to go. So have you faced similar situation, and how to handle it?
Yes. So what happens is, once you are embedded, once you are soaked in one particular company's culture, okay, you get into this thing called group think. Okay, you can Google that word called group think. Group think is, you will think like a group, like what your people are thinking. Okay, you cannot think anything outside the box. Okay, you will not accept anything that is happening. Okay, until somebody comes to your company and train. Okay, you won't go outside. You will become stagnant. Okay, so you are not keeping yourself up to date, or you're not keeping yourself abreast of the growing trends or the new trends in process agile or scaled agile or whatever that is. Okay, so what we can do is, we can say 2 things to them. One is, whoever that you are having in your company as a full-time employee, as an agile coach, make sure that you have a training and advancement plan for your person. Okay, and that person has to provide you every year on the changes or the state of agile affairs, or the state of what is happening in that particular process. Okay, he needs to give an update to you. So that is kind of like telling that, hey, ask your person to get some training from us. Okay, or some outside training. That is one thing. Okay, you don't need to hire us, but you can ask your people to keep updated, and that updates can be provided by us. Okay, or send them to some conference, or send them to them and ask them for a feedback, a white paper or something. That is number 1. And number 2 is, we will run road shows, we will run seminars once a year, okay, to come to your place and tell you what is the growing trend. Okay, we will bring to you some of the success stories, some of the failures, or what to do, what not to do. Okay, and what is the newest trend? We will bring it to you. So that is the second way. So we always follow both of these wherever we go. You tell them, hey, you cannot hire us, good, but at least have your person, ready for it. Okay, you can send that person to us, or we can come to you and tell you what is happening in the industry, what is happening in the marketplace. So we will come up with these Gartner studies, we will come up with all these studies, we will quote them, we will refer them, we will do all that because that is our bread and butter.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Srini. So thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, then so we'll connect later and I'll let you know.